Okay, some more operating procedures. We talk a little bit about some of the other activities. One of those, which is very popular, um, particularly with the Melbourne PCARS Club. They're very, very big into contesting, and essentially, it's contacting as many stations as possible in a fixed amount of time, usually 12 or 24-hour period. And the idea is to provide the minimum amount of information necessary for the exchange. Usually it's your call sign, your location, which is usually the grid square that you're in, and maybe a signal report.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all that's required. So you try to make as many contacts as possible, and they have them for different modes. They have them for digital, they have them for CW, they have them for RIDI. And there's one going on this weekend, I believe. Another thing a lot of people get involved in is radio direction finding, where you use a directional antenna to try to find either a hidden transmitter or some noise source or jamming source for interference.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a hidden transformer, it's usually called a fox hunt, where somebody will hide a transmitter that's set to broadcast some message like every few minutes, and people try to go find it. There was one story I heard where people were tracking this one, and several of them got close, according to their radio, but they couldn't find it. And turned out it was a guy in a fishing boat out in the river who had what looked like a fishing pole, but it was an antenna.
Smart.
I mentioned the grid square or locator.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this is called the Maidenhead grid, named after some guy named Maidenhead, who divvied up the entire globe into these small sections. And they consist of 2 letters, 2 numbers, and 2 more letters. In most cases, people only use 4, the first 2 letters and the first 2 numbers. But you can get down to finer locations with using all 6 characters.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of this grid again?
Maidenhead, like the thing that used to be on the front of the sailing ship.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
If you see where the circle is, that shows where we are. And we're in EL 98.
What would be the last 2 letters? 80 degrees? Or
No, it's 2 more letters. Actually, I'm in EL 98 PI.
where do you get the PI?
Huh?
Where does the PI come from off of this map?
Well, it's not shown.
Oh,
you
okay.
have to get a map that shows all 6.
Gotcha.
It's and when you get down to the last, using the last 2 letters, it's a pretty small area. So what operating activity involves contacting as many stations as possible during a specified time period?
Delta.
Delta.
Which of the following is good procedure when contacting another station in a contest? Remember the purpose.
Charlie.
Charlie.
What is a grid locator?
Letter, number, designated site. Alpha?
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha, yes.
Which of the following methods is used to locate sources of noise, interference, or jamming?
30.
Charlie.
Yeah, there's actually in the PCARS Club, there's actually a small group called the RFI Committee that actually does that when there's reports of noise sources or something that's causing a lot of interference. And they go out and try to find it. And if it turns out, in most cases, it's like a power line transformer. So they report it to the power company, and they may or may not do something. Which of these items would be useful for a hidden transmitter hunt?
Bravo.
It didn't know.
Bravo?
I kind of like Bravo. If you had an omnidirectional antenna, you'd have no way of knowing which direction the signal was coming from.
Okay.
And even with a directional, you still need to move so you can triangulate. Because if you pick up the signal and say it's directly north, you don't know where it is along that line. So you need to move to the east or west and then draw another line and see where they intersect. Another thing that's used is voice over internet to do some of the digital voice modes. And there's a couple, I don't think they're as popular as they once were.
Mm-hmm.
There's one called the Internet Radio Linking Project, where it lets you use a radio to talk to a gateway to the internet back to another gateway and radio. So it's kind of like one of the first ways of having linked repeaters. And it does use what's called voice over IP. That's how it digitizes the voice signal. So it sends a digital signal as packets of data. The other one is Echolink. And in this case, you don't directly use your radio. You use your computer or your cell phone. In order to use Echolink, though, you have to have a license and you have to register your call sign and send them a copy of your license. And then you can use the application. And it's kind of like a directory all over the world, and you can pick other members on there and communicate with them. Kind of like normal cell phone use, except it's...
Who do you send? Oh, who do you send the information to if you wanted to register?
Oh, you have to go to the Echolink site.
Okay.
Which is where you would download the app and also register. I don't know if I have a picture. I think I might have a picture of Echolink. This is IRLP, kind of a simplified thing where you're using your handy-talkie. It could be your base station, and you're talking to a repeater that's connected to what they call a node. Other things call them gateways. They get you to the internet, to some other node and back to somebody somewhere else in the world. So it does allow worldwide communications, and you do use your radio. In the case of Echolink, you're using your computer or cell phone, but somewhere along the line, there's radios involved along with the internet. This is a screenshot of the Echolink app. And you can see this is kind of like a directory of countries. And they go by, continents and then countries. And then within those, you see a list of all the registered people. Like I said, I don't see these being used that much anymore, but they're on the exam. So what is the Internet Radio Linking Project?
Alpha?
Alpha?
Oh, no. Yeah, Alpha.
And because it uses voice over internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you have an internet phone associated with your internet provider, that's using voice over internet protocol.
Gotcha.
This would be Delta.
Mm-hmm. Delta.
What is required before using the Echolink system?
Charlie. Oh, well, maybe all of the above. But Charlie.
Yeah, Echolink is free. So you don't have to buy a license. And
So
there's
Charlie.
You just have to show proof that you have a license. Okay. Gotcha.
So which of the following protocols enables an amateur station to transmit through a repeater without using a radio to initiate the transmission?
Delta.
Mm-hmm. Delta.
Okay. I mentioned that the interface to the internet in these modes, they call them nodes.
Mm-hmm.
The newer digital voice modes like DMR and D-Star, they call them gateways. They're basically the same thing. In the case of like Echolink, where you're using your computer or your cell phone, you're accessing the node number itself to access a specific node using what's called DTMF signals, which stands for dual tone multi-frequency audio signals. So it's a unique tone pair for each number. If you've used a keypad on a door entry system,
Mm-hmm.
or some of the old touch tone phones, and you press E and you hear this weird kind of a warbling tone, and each one's different. That's DTMF. And like I mentioned, gateway is just another name for what they call nodes in IRLP or Echolink that allows you to connect over the internet to another gateway. This is an example of a DTMF keypad. And you can see these are the frequencies for each column and the frequencies for each row. So when you press a key, you get the combination of those two tones, which makes it unique. So how is over-the-air access to IRLP nodes accomplished?
Bravo.
Bravo.
What type of signaling uses pairs of audio tones?
Alpha.
What is an amateur radio station that connects to other amateur stations on the internet, or to the internet?
Alpha.
Excuse me.
Alpha.
Okay, so we talked about contesting, where you try to get as many contacts as possible in that time period. It's recommended to do the minimum amount of information that you need: call sign, grid square, signal report. That's essentially all you need. The grid locator, or the Maidenhead grid, is a letter combination that identifies specific areas down to a very small location. I'm trying to think. I guess the one I'm in at PI probably is maybe all of Merritt Island. Radio direction finding is used for fox hunts and to locate sources of noise or interference. You need a directional antenna, or I don't know how you would do it otherwise. Voice over IP is basically a way of digitizing analog voice and sending it as essentially Ethernet packets over the internet. The Internet Linking Protocol, which is IRLP, is just a way for radio amateur stations to connect through repeaters via the internet using VoIP. And Echolink allows you to use your computer or cell phone as opposed to a handy-talkie, but you have to register your call sign and provide a proof of license. They use the DTMF signals, which are dual tone, multiple frequency, which are pairs of audio tones. Gateway is another name for a node that allows you to connect to the internet. Any questions on those?